coal is not the future of West Virginia. That's what we're taught from day one. We're fed coal for breakfast. Coal's the future. Coal, coal, coal. Don't say anything anti-coal. If you want to run for office in this state, if you even mildly suggest anything that's anti-coal, it's like an automatic political career killer. You cannot get elected.
You're brought up from the time you're born to, think that you step out of line with the coal industry and you're screwed for life. And that's pretty much how the power dynamics work around here. It's capitalism at its finest.
We hear a lot about the coal cycle, and especially with the propaganda recently, clean coal. Well, clean coal is a dirty lie. There is no truth to it. It's a story. It's propaganda. We're focusing on the pollution end when the coal is being burned. But the extraction of the coal is an entirely different process that is extremely destructive in itself already. Mountaintop removal is the most destructive form of mining. It's the process of actually using dynamite to completely blow up the top of a mountain and to access the coal from the top instead of like with deep mining, you access it from the side.
The coal comes out of that. The other stuff, the liquid waste, the coal slurry gets either injected underground to wind up in people's drinking water, or gets impounded up in a hollow somewhere where they build like an earthen dam in a really narrow, small valley and fill it with the sludge.
Water used to come out of my tap every single day, blood red, smelling like sulfur. Massey Energy, which is now owned by Alpha Natural Resources, was doing an underground coal sludge injection on the ridgeline above my home, and we had well water. We had to still bathe in it every day, wash our dishes and our clothes. Sometimes my folks would even cook with it because they figured boiling it would make it better, but heavy metals don't exactly work like that. And I went to Marsh Fork Elementary School also, which is situated next to a 2.5 billion gallon coal sludge impoundment and a coal prep plant.
Could you imagine sending your kid to elementary school with a huge, I think, billion-gallon sludge pond just up 100 feet away?
The slurry impoundment is a constant source of fear because literally when it rains, parents get together and watch the level of the water to see if it's going to break and if they're going to have to evacuate their family in the middle of the night.
Right up the mountain, we have a cancer of a scar of mountaintop removal, not far from here, a crow fly, maybe a quarter mile, and it's just a big pit with a hole. The westerly winds blow that stuff on us. There's studies now showing that it's very unhealthy. I had asthma. I've never had asthma. So we know that this stuff's in the air, and it doesn't matter if you live 1 mile away or whether. We've got a good friend that lives about 4 miles up the river, and he says he gets into hacking spells all the time, and he's always been in shape, walking in the mountains, digging ginseng, and doesn't smoke. I don't smoke, so. But you feel trapped. Good. You feel like you're surrounded.
We have 21 peer-reviewed studies about the health impacts of mountaintop removal and coal mining since 2007. We know that mothers who smoke, that their babies have a higher percentage of a possibility of birth defects. That's an 18% increased risk if you smoke. Well, it is a 26% higher risk that your baby will have a birth defect if you're a mother who lives in a mountaintop removal community.
It's hard to get people around here to go lobby or talk to their politicians or the regulators because they don't see it as having any point, because they know they're going to go there, they're going to get blown off, be disrespected. Why bother when half my family is sick and dying and I need to be here taking care of them, and they're sick and dying because of the things that I need to be going to D.C. to talk to people about?
There was a bill that was out there that was supposed to, basically end mountaintop removal and end large-scale, strip mining. And what it ended up doing was it was regulating it. That was a big loss. The same message and the same experiences from the past need to be, conveyed to everyone else working in other movements, that you're never going to have a regulatory system that's foolproof, that doesn't have any holes in it. There's just too much money on the other side, too many lawyers to be able to exploit all the technicalities and exploit all the loopholes.
Mountaintop removal was just a disastrous, quick, profitable way for the coal companies to get seams of coal without any regard to anyone that lives around the area. The CEO for Massey Energy, Don Blankenship, let everybody know that he didn't care what anybody thought. They were there for one reason only, and that's to get the coal and get the profit. It used to be mostly mines operated by union shops, which is a more liberal slant on workers' rights, protecting the mountains to some degree. Back in about 1985, early 80s, the non-union shops came in. Union UMWA lost their footing, and now every mine that's a deep mine or surface mine along this river that I know is non-union mine. Lawyers had drafted a proposal on how to depopulate southern West Virginia for the Massey Coal Company and the Bituminous Coal Association of West Virginia. They don't want us here. They just want to destroy it, get their coal, get their profit, and get out.
My argument is there's more than one job besides coal mining that's possible for this area. And coal mining is such a boom and bust economy that we need to diversify and get something else down here. Otherwise, we're just going to stay in the same cycle. It's just so much PR and propaganda put out constantly. They can buy huge billboards that say, coal keeps the lights on. And I want to be like right up there in China.
A majority of the coal coming from mountaintop removal isn't even coming to power our own country, and that's what we always hear. It's about keeping the lights on. It's actually being exported. And that just adds insult to injury. Coal River Mountain Watch is based in the Coal River Valley, which is in Boone and Raleigh County of southern West Virginia, located in the quote-unquote coal fields, although folks who live there don't really like that term that much. And Coal River Mountain Watch organizes for a healthy and safe community and is against mountaintop removal coal mining.
A friend of the family offered me a job as a security guard on a strip mine. But the first day I got up there and I looked out at what they were doing, and watching those machines tear down that mountain, I felt like the most miserable human being you could ever imagine, knowing that my money was coming out of that. I have a tough time getting across to people when I talk to them is the sense of scale of these operations. If you don't get up in a helicopter, you're not going to be able to see a portion of the devastation around here. I knew I had to do something about it. I could either keep doing what I was doing, keep my head in the sand like everybody else around here that works for these people, and not cause any ruckus or any waves in the community, and not have to worry about people, threatening to kill me and everything else. Or I could put my neck out there and stand up for what I knew was right. And so that's when I started coming around Coal River Mountain Watch. Because of that, my folks, even though they didn't disagree with me on my positions or anything, they had to kick me out of their home because my dad would have lost his job if I was still living at their house. And I started writing for the newsletter anonymously. I couldn't put my face or my name out there, or else I'd get fired and my dad would get fired. I would take my desktop computer and put it in the passenger seat of my car and type out articles for the Coal River newsletter set in my car while on the dime as a security guard.
RAMPS stands for Radical Action for Mountain People's Survival. We're a group of people with experience in nonviolent, direct civil resistance tactics. Direct action is often an important component or piece of the puzzle. In some campaigns, it's been a very useful tactic to delay destruction while litigation works its way through the courts. It helps to also force a political crisis so that politicians have to do something instead of being able to just delay and delay and delay for years. So you had people that were getting in the way of bulldozers, and grandmas going to jail over Thanksgiving for trying to defend their land.
My most rewarding moment was when we successfully managed to find a new place for Marsh Fork Elementary. So it would no longer be underneath the Shoemate Dam right next to the prep plant. The kids would be somewhere safe where the air was clean and where they wouldn't be right underneath the slurry impoundment.
It took Coal River Mountain Watch and the people in the community to be outraged enough about it to get it moved and a new school built. That was a huge win.
It was a long campaign, and I'm really proud that that school's getting built because it's a sign of hope for this community.
I would like to see every coal mine up and down this river, deep mine, I'd like to see them shut down. There ought to be solar panels on every roof, windmills on every opportunity where you can put it on a mountain and get away from fossil fuels.
There's lots of power structure issues that are, very similar to what's going on in other movements, other, parts of the country, and systematic change is a thing that's needed.
If we don't attack this problem at its root, which is what Occupy is doing, and I'm really thankful for that somebody's working on it and doing anti-capitalist work pretty much. If we win here, then there's just going to be some other industry swoop in and take its place. We're all fighting the same enemy, just different faces of the same enemy. We may be focusing on the coal industry here in southern West Virginia, but that's just another tentacle of this giant beast.
You stand up.